really don't want to run this morning, or I do want to run, but I just don't want to run in this weather. The weather is pretty brutal out there. It's rainy, it's cold, but I've committed to running once a week with this running club, and it's only autumn, and the weather's only going to get even more cold and sometimes rainy during the winter time. So if I can't get through today, I don't feel really good about my chances of getting through the winter, so I gotta do it. But like they say here in Scandinavia, there's no bad weather, just bad clothes. So I have a few layers on, a waterproof shirt and a little cover up, and I'm gonna wear my rain jacket as I cycle to the running path. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna be honest, that was brutal. That was the heaviest rain and wind I've ever run through before. I can barely hold my camera right now because my hands are shaking so much. As soon as I got inside, I peeled off all my wet layers, my wet shoes, my wet socks. And it wasn't just rain. There was definitely some ice mixed in too, because it felt like little shards of glass were blowing on our skin the whole time we were out there. It felt like I was running through the apocalypse. There are broken branches on the ground. The trees look like they were tipping over. And I'm not even exaggerating. There were moments during the run where we were running and the wind was blowing against us and we felt like we weren't making any progress. Like we were just running in place because the wind was so strong. So yeah, definitely not the most pleasant conditions for a morning run, but I made it. And if I can make it through that, I can make it through anything. So yeah. And I just started running with this group a few weeks ago, and a few of the people in the group were saying that this was the most brutal weather that they've ever experienced. So I feel really proud of myself for getting through that, because if this is the worst of it, I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to stick with it throughout the winter season. I'm seriously shaking so much. Now I need a warm tea and some warm food and a hot steamy shower. And I can't really complain because we have been really spoiled with the weather. The start of autumn has been perfection, and now we're heading into gray season here in Denmark, so gotta get used to this. I went out and embraced the weather. Hopefully my hands can thaw out soon. Finally back home on this rainy day after spending the morning at Glyptoteket, which is one of my favorite museums in Copenhagen. It was truly a lovely time because we were out celebrating a major accomplishment in my friend's career. And when I offered to take her out to celebrate and I asked her what she wanted to do, she said the museum. And that's how I know we're meant to be friends, because I love the museum. So it was just the perfect way to spend a few hours on this gray and rainy morning. And it's interesting because whenever I get together with this friend, we always get into some discussions about Danish culture and society. She was born and raised in Denmark, but not in Copenhagen. And so today we got into a discussion about the different mindsets of people from Copenhagen versus other parts of Denmark, at least according to her and her experience. But it was just interesting because I've been viewing Denmark through my lens. Everything I absorb during my time here has been through the lens of Denmark versus the US and how people and their behaviors and their mindset differ compared to Americans. But today, speaking to my friend, for the first time, I considered all the nuance within the different regions of this country. And of course, those differences exist. Like for instance, in the US, someone who grew up in the North is going to have a very different perspective than someone who grew up in the South. But until now, I've never had someone break down those differences between Danish populations all around the country. It was a really enlightening conversation. It's just fascinating how even within one country that shares a general culture, there's always going to be subcultures within the culture. And it's cool to have those differences. It makes the world vibrant and interesting, but it's just funny that sometimes that can lead to stereotypes that certain people within that culture might not think of themselves. Like my friend and I were also chatting about certain American stereotypes. And in a lot of ways, I feel like those stereotypes do not align with who I am. And yet, now that I live in another country, I realize there are some American traits that are just instilled in me and definitely set me apart from the people that grew up here. There's certain things that are just ingrained, no matter how hard we fight it. All I can hope is that some of the less pleasant stereotypes about Americans don't prevent people here from getting to know me as an individual. So yeah, but overall, I've had a beautiful time celebrating my friend today, although the weather has not been ideal. But after a year of living in Denmark and having experience with how strongly the weather can bring down your mood, I'm now creating joyful habits. Things that I do on rainy days or gray days or cold days that bring me joy and warmth. And that's very much aligned with the Danish hygge culture. That mindset is a beautiful coping strategy to find brightness no matter what's going on in life. So today I'm asking myself, how can I make this day a little more warm and cozy and make the rest of this gray day an enjoyable one? Also, today is date night for my husband and I. Every week on the same night, we have a special dinner together. Sometimes we go out and try a new activity together, which has been a really fun way to get to know this city that we've moved to. But with it being rainy out, we're definitely going to spend the night indoors. So I'm going to make a little special dinner. And you know me by now, I am not a cook. I don't really enjoy it. I don't really have a talent for it. I much prefer baking. I don't know how that makes sense to not like cooking, but to like baking, but it makes sense in my mind. But even though cooking's not my thing, I figured out a way around it. That will be my last trip out in the rain, but I needed to get the ingredients for our dinner today, which will be a charcuterie board. So this is what I ended up getting. I just basically grabbed whatever looked good. And I've been wanting to try some of the snacks that I see in the grocery stores here. This is the perfect excuse to just try out some snacks that are unfamiliar to me. We have some bruschetta that I thought looked pretty good. We have some crackers that I have been eyeing the last few grocery trips. I just feel like I snack all the time and I didn't need to add another snack to the list. But today I have a good excuse because I want to try some new things with this charcuterie board. We have this grissini, and of course we needed some veggies, so I got some cherry tomatoes. I found this little variety pack of cheeses, including some blue cheese, which I haven't had in many years, not since I was a child, but I remember being really grossed out by blue cheese. But for some reason today, I am motivated to try it again. I'll give it a try, but if I don't like it, I'm sure my husband will eat it. But there's also some brie in here, which I absolutely love. And then of course we needed fruit, so I have some figs and some green grapes. And then for dessert, and again, I eat enough snacks, especially sweets throughout the week, so I didn't want to add another sweet thing to my list. But it's a special occasion today. Also, this is the Halloween edition of this beignet cake, so I had to get it. It's Halloween season. So I'm gonna put all those ingredients together in a little display. It's not a fancy cooked meal, but it'll be a nice looking meal. Sometimes it's the simple things that taste the best. And what I love about a charcuterie is that you can pick and choose what bites you want, kind of mix some flavors together and see what works. Charcuterie reminds me of Lunchables. I don't think they have Lunchables in this country. Americans will know what I'm talking about. It's basically like a little charcuterie board for a kid that you can buy prepackaged at the store. It was a really big trend when I was a school child to get a Lunchable, even though my mom never allowed us to eat them because she thought they were unhealthy. I always wanted one. So now that I'm adult, I get to make an adult version of a Lunchable.